Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host. Today we're going to be discussing the story of the Silent Room. This is a creepypasta that was submitted by our user. So let's jump right into it. In the quiet town of Blackridge, nestled in the forests of northern Maine, there stood a house that no one wanted to live in. It wasn't because it was old or broken or anything like that. It was because of the Silent Room. The townspeople said anyone who spent a single night in this house was forever changed. But no one knew exactly how or why. All they knew was that the house was cursed. The Jackson family moved into the house in the spring of 1993. It was a fresh start for them after tragedy. The loss of their youngest daughter, Emily, to leukemia. The house was large, cheap, and most importantly, surrounded by silence, which was what they all needed to heal. They settled in quickly, and their son Ryan began exploring his new home immediately. The house was older and full of creaks and groans, so it took them a few days to notice the more unusual sounds. But from the very first night, Ryan began to complain. "There's a woman in the corner of my room. She doesn't blink. She just watches." At first, his parents dismissed it as a child's imagination, grief perhaps, but then the scratching began. In the walls, under the bed, in the ceiling, always just out of sight. But Ryan insisted that the woman was there. He drew pictures of her, and he named her Martha. The scratches became more frantic and more frequent, and Ryan became more frightened. His parents tried to distract him, reason with him, but nothing worked. One day, Mr. Jackson decided to tackle the problem head-on. There was one room that Ryan hadn't mentioned yet. It was locked, and they assumed that it was the source of the noise. It was what came to be known as the Silent Room. As it turned out, nobody had entered that room in over 20 years. There was no key to be found, so Mr. Jackson simply broke the lock. Inside, they found only dust and cobwebs. The walls were bare except for one spot where a picture hung askew. It had been ripped off the wall with such force that some of the plaster had come down with it. Beneath it, they found a loose floorboard. Mr. Jackson pried it up and discovered a hollow space beneath. He reached inside and pulled out a small wooden box. It was dusty and smelled of mildew, but it was well made. Mr. Jackson brought it downstairs and set it on the table. Then he and his wife went back upstairs. That night, Mrs. Jackson woke up in the middle of the night and heard a whisper. "Why did you leave me?" She sat up in bed and listened, but she heard nothing. She told herself that it must have been a dream. But then she heard a soft scratching sound coming from above her. She listened intently. Then she got out of bed and walked slowly toward the closed door at the end of the hall. It was the same door that led to the Silent Room. The scratching grew louder as she approached, and she could hear her son crying. "Mommy, please help me. She's coming for me." Mrs. Jackson flung the door open, but the room was empty. She walked to her son's bed, but he wasn't there either. She checked the closet underneath his bed, and then she looked out the window. Their son had climbed out. He was standing on the windowsill, and he was cold. His hands were freezing cold. And on the fogged window, the words appeared, written by an invisible finger. She never left. Mr. Jackson found the boy wandering the streets in the morning light. He had wandered down a hill and into the woods. He was fine, but something was different about him. That night, he asked for his parents to sleep in his room. The scratching continued. A few weeks later, Mr. Jackson called a local historian and learned that in 1910, a woman named Margaret Bell lived there with her infant daughter. Margaret suffered from paranoia and delusions. Her brother said that she would often speak to imaginary people and seemed convinced that someone was trying to harm her. One day, she disappeared. Neighbors broke into the house to check on her and found her, dead in the same upstairs room where Ryan had seen the woman. The room was bare, except for a crib in the corner. Her infant daughter was also found dead in the room. She had starved to death. Margaret had apparently barricaded herself and her daughter in the room and never left. The neighbors buried the two women in the local cemetery, but no one ever found their bodies. Ever since that day, every family that moved into the house left within a year. Some of them claimed to hear voices. Others, footsteps in the attic. Still others swore they saw the shadow of a woman carrying a baby in the upstairs window. But the Jacksons stayed. They didn't believe in curses. Not until the baby monitor began picking up a woman's lullaby. And then their son's voice answered back. "Don't cry. I'll stay with you forever." After that night, Ryan vanished. The front door was locked from the outside. All the windows were closed. No doors were open. No windows. But the silent room's door was unlocked, even though the key was missing. They found it empty. On the wall, scratched in with fingernails. Now we are 3 again. The Jacksons moved out the next day. They couldn't take it anymore. But the house still stands abandoned today, looming over the town like a specter. If you walk by at night, you can hear lullabies from upstairs. And sometimes, a woman looking at you from the window. But don't knock. The silent room doesn't like visitors. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I thought it was really interesting. This was another creepypasta that was submitted by a user. So if you want to submit a creepypasta to me, just follow the link in the description. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to send me stuff, like if you want to send me fan mail or something, I'll put my address in the description too. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.